I'm Maggie. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist with degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy, and a national certification in integrative mental health. In this video, I'm not looking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Santa Claus, the jolly man in red who brings gifts, joy, and magic to the holiday season. But did you know that Santa's story spans continents, centuries, and even spiritual traditions? Today, we're uncovering the fascinating history and mystery behind Santa Claus, from his many names to his ancient, mystical roots. Let's dive in. First, let's talk names. Around the world, Santa Claus is known by many. In the Netherlands, he's Sinterklaas, a bishop-like figure who arrives on a steamboat. In England, he's Father Christmas, an older symbol of holiday cheer predating Santa's modern image. In Germany, children await Christkind, a Weihnachtsmann, and in places like Russia, Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost, brings gifts alongside his companion, Snegorochva, the Snow Maiden. Each culture has adapted Santa to fit their traditions. But how did this happen? That leads us to an interesting historical twist. When Christianity spread across Europe, the Catholic Church often blended local traditions with Christian practices to make conversion easier. One example is St. Nicholas, a 4th century Greek bishop known for his generosity and miracles. Over time, St. Nicholas legend merged with local folklore and pagan customs. This tactic wasn't new. Christian holidays like Christmas itself were aligned with pre-Christian festivals, especially the winter solstice. And that brings us to the roots of Santa Claus in ancient paganism. To truly understand some of the deeper roots of Santa Claus, we must travel back to ancient Norse mythology and the celebration of Yule, a midwinter festival that predates Christmas by centuries. At the heart of this story is Odin, one of the most important gods in Norse mythology, often associated with wisdom, war, and the esoteric. Odin was a complex figure in Norse mythology, known as the All-Father. He ruled over Asgard and was revered as a seeker of knowledge and the patron of poetry, magic, and the dead. His many adventures in the Eddas, the ancient Norse texts, paint him as a wanderer who roamed the world disguised as an old man, often helping or testing humans. Now, let's connect Odin to the winter traditions. During the Yule season, a 12-day celebration held around the winter solstice, Odin played a pivotal role. This festival honored the darkest part of the year while celebrating the eventual return of the sun. It was a time for feasting, storytelling, and invoking the god's blessings for the coming year. One of the most striking elements of Yule is the wild hunt, a ghostly procession of gods, spirits, and the dead, led by Odin himself. According to legend, Odin soared through the night sky on his 8-legged horse Sleipnir, watching over the mortal world. His presence was both awe-inspiring and fearsome. During these midnight rides, Odin was believed to reward the virtuous with gifts or blessings, while those who acted selfishly or wickedly might face punishment or misfortune. If this sounds familiar, It's because this aspect of Odin directly parallels the modern Santa Claus tradition of rewarding good children with gifts and leaving coal for the naughty. Odin's horse, Sleipnir, played a significant role in the wild hunt. Sleipnir was no ordinary steed. He had 8 legs, making him faster and more powerful than any other horse in mythology. Some scholars suggest that Sleipnir may have inspired the concept of Santa's 8 reindeer. Like Santa's sleigh, Odin's sky-riding journeys connected him to the heavens and to the mortal world below. Yule wasn't just about Odin and the wild hunt. It was also a festival of light and abundance. People burned a Yule log to ward off darkness and evil spirits, feasted on rich foods, and exchanged small gifts to honor community and generosity. Sound familiar? Many of these customs were later adopted and transformed by Christian traditions when Christmas was established. Over time, Odin's characteristics, his long beard, his winter journeys, and his judgment of morals merged with Saint Nicholas, the Christian patron saint of children. Together, they formed the foundation of the Santa Claus we know today. Similarly, many traditions celebrated the winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year. This was a time of renewal, feasting, and honoring the return of the sun. In ancient Rome, in the Roman Empire, they celebrated Saturnalia, held from December 17th through the 23rd, honored Saturn, the god of agriculture. People exchanged gifts, decorated homes with greenery, and feasted. The social norms were inverted that day. The servants dined with the masters, and mischief was encouraged. It was like a backwards day. Saturnalia celebrated renewal, the end of agricultural toil, and the promise of new growth. On the Celtic islands of Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, they celebrated Alban Ardan. This was Druidic rituals marked with the rebirth of the sun. Ceremonies were held at sacred sites like Stonehenge, and they aligned with the solstice sunrise. Holly, ivy, and mistletoe were used as symbols of life enduring through winter. The solstice represented the triumph of light over darkness and the continuity of life. In ancient Greece, they celebrated the festival of Linnea. Linnea honored Dionysus, the god of wine, fertility, and revelry, in late December. People held processions, plays, and feasts to invoke the god's blessings. Like other solstice festivals, this celebrated renewal and the end of darkness. In the Persian culture in modern-day Iran, they celebrated Yalda Night. Yalda marks the victory of light over darkness and the birth of Mithra, the sun god. Families gather to eat, read poetry, and stay awake to witness the sun's return. Pomegranates and watermelons, symbols of life and rebirth, are traditionally consumed. Yalda celebrates hope, renewal, and the endurance of light through dark times. For the indigenous American tribes of North and Central America, the Hopi people held the Soyal solstice ceremony, involving rituals to call the sun back from its long sleep. The Pueblo peoples celebrated solstice with dances and sacred ceremonies. In Mesoamerica, the Aztecs and Mayans aligned temples and monuments to track the solstice, dedicating the time to sun deities. Solstice marked balance and renewal, ensuring harmony with nature and the cosmos. For the Chinese and East Asian cultures of China, Korea, and Japan, they celebrate Dongxi. Dongxi, or winter's arrival, is celebrated with family gatherings and special foods like dumplings and rice cakes. It honors the balance of yin, darkness, and yang, light, as day begins to lengthen again. The festival is rooted in balance, renewal, and harmony with nature's cycles. In the Slavic pagan traditions of Eastern Europe, they celebrated Korochon. Korochon was a winter solstice festival associated with honoring ancestors and banishing evil spirits. Fires and candles were lit to symbolize the return of the sun. Food offerings and feasts were common. This holiday emphasized the cycle of death and rebirth and the protection of the living. For the Hindu cultures of India, they celebrated Makar Sankranti. While celebrated slightly after the solstice, Makar Sankranti marks the sun's northward journey. Families fly kites, exchange sweets, and bathe in sacred rivers to honor the transition of the sun. It represents renewal, new beginnings, and the harvest season. In ancient African traditions, especially in the area of Egypt, there was the festival of Osiris. The festival of Osiris in mid-December honored Osiris, the god of resurrection and fertility. People celebrated the Nile's fertility, which paralleled the return of the sun's strength. Osiris' resurrection mirrored the sun's rebirth, symbolizing hope and renewal. The common theme across all these cultures is light versus darkness. The return of the sun is a universal symbol of hope and life. Midwinter gatherings strengthened social bonds during these challenging times. The solstice marked a cosmic turning point, signaling transformation and new beginnings. Why is it important to know these traditions when discussing Santa Claus? Because the roots of modern Santa Claus are from the Church's strategy of assimilation through tradition. When Christianity began to spread across Europe, the Church faced resistance from deeply rooted pagan traditions. These pre-Christian cultures had rich celebrations centered around the cycles of nature, especially the winter solstice, which marked the sun's return and the promise of renewal. The Church employed a clever but devious strategy: assimilation. Leaders adapted pagan symbols and rituals to align with their Christian beliefs, creating holidays that felt vaguely familiar to the newly converted populations. One of the clearest examples of this is Christmas. The winter solstice had been celebrated for tens of thousands of years. Ancient peoples honored the sun's rebirth as the turning point toward longer, warmer days. Key solstice elements like evergreen trees, symbolizing eternal life, fire and candles, representing light's triumph over darkness, and gift-giving were common in Yule, Saturnalia, and the other festivals. When establishing Christmas, the Church tied Jesus' birth to December 25, a date not mentioned in the Bible, but strategically aligned with solstice festivities like Saturnalia and the birthday of the Roman sun god Sol Invictus. By doing so, the Church reframed the celebration of the sun's return into a celebration of the Son of God. Even key figures of Christmas have pagan origins. St. Nicholas, the generous bishop of Myra, became a Christian replacement for Odin, the Norse god who rode the skies during Yule. Over time, St. Nicholas blended with local folklore and eventually evolved into Santa Claus. This process allowed the church to maintain continuity with old traditions while spreading its religious dogma. However, these appropriations often stripped the original customs of their deeper, nature-focused meanings, reframing them within the Christian narrative of sin, redemption, and salvation. Fast forward to the 19th and 20th centuries, and a new force began reshaping Christmas: capitalism. The Industrial Revolution brought mass production and consumer goods, turning the holiday into a lucrative market. Writers like Charles Dickens helped redefine Christmas as a time for generosity and family, but corporations quickly saw its potential for profit. The modern image of Santa Claus, for example, owes much to Coca-Cola's 1930s advertising campaigns, which cemented his cheerful, red-suited persona as a commercial icon. Christmas has shifted dramatically from a season of spiritual reflection and communal joy to a time of relentless consumerism. Instead of gathering to honor nature's cycles or connect with loved ones, many now associate the holiday with shopping sprees, extravagant decorations, and pressure to spend. Black Friday sales, holiday marketing, and the push for bigger, more expensive gifts have overshadowed the simpler, older traditions of celebrating light, life, and togetherness. While capitalism has popularized the holiday globally, it has also disconnected it from its deeper roots. And who sees all that money? The CEOs and executives. The median CEO pay package rose to $16.3 million, up 12.6% from the previous year. And that doesn't even include stock awards. In 2023, CEOs were paid 290 times as much as the typical worker, highlighting the growing disparity between executive and worker compensation. So listen, throughout the ages, the traditions surrounding the winter solstice, Yule, and the figure of Santa Claus have undergone profound transformations. What began as ancient celebration of nature's cycles and the return of the sun was absorbed into religious dogma and later commodified into a modern consumerist holiday. The church's assimilation of pagan practices ensured the continuity of familiar rituals, rebranding them to align with Christian teachings. This process preserved the surface traditions while often stripping them of their original nature-focused meaning. In more recent centuries, capitalism has further distanced us from the deeper communal and spiritual aspects of the season. The holiday has become dominated by a focus on materialism and consumer spending, overshadowing the profound significance of light's return and the renewal it symbolizes. Yet beneath the veneer of commercialism lies a rich tapestry of spiritual symbolism and ancient wisdom. There's even an esoteric interpretation of Santa Claus as a metaphor for spiritual awakening via processes like the Kundalini energy, the chrism, and the claustrum. But it reminds us that this season is fundamentally about inner transformation. The journey of Santa Claus can be seen as an allegory for the human spirit's quest for enlightenment, with the gifts he delivers symbolizing the reward of self-discovery, peace, connection, and joy. As we reflect on these layered histories and meanings, We're reminded of the importance of reclaiming the season's essence. Whether it's honoring ancient traditions, spending time with loved ones, or engaging in spiritual practice, this time of year invites us to step away from consumerism and reconnect with the timeless truths of renewal, connection, and gratitude. In doing so, we not only honor the rich legacy of those who celebrated the solstice for millennia, but also infuse our lives with the light, wisdom, and warmth that the season has always symbolized.